This is a fitting guide for our 718 Cayman and Boxster Spyder platform valve controller. The installation is very similar across the board. The fundamentals are the same. However, from car to car, depending whether it's a Cayman or a Spyder, some parts of this are going to be slightly different. In this circumstance, we're fitting a valve controller to a GT4 on the Cayman platform. First steps are to remove all of the internal trim panels from around the rear here, which are all just down here. They pull away nice and easy, and then the center panel with the cover for this part of the bodywork lifts up as well. Next stage is to come round to the inside of the car. Here we need to remove these trims that go over the top of where the seatbelt tensioner housing is. That's done by lifting the plastic tabs from the back side here up and pulling the trim piece away towards you. And I tend just to leave these sat down just behind the seat here. Then we need to do the same on the other side, and then go on to remove the T30 Torx bolts, which are just here. I'm just going to go around to the other side and remove the other one. So just pull up and away. Porsche quality, as always, comes out easy and goes back in even easier. So just over, grab the T30. So with all four of those bolts removed, the aluminium part lifts up and out the car. Set this down here. And then the plastic trim piece lifts off again. And then if we come around to the back of the car again, we've then got access for the carpet panel that goes over the engine cover to be removed. This just lifts up and out, exposing the engine bay cover. Again, on the engine bay cover, we've got a number of T30 bolts. The only ones that are a little bit difficult to get to are the ones in the top corner here. You ideally need a ratchet that's quite short like this. It can be done with a T30 Torx bit and a set of pliers if you don't have a little ratchet like this. This one comes from Weira if you're wanting to buy one. I'm going to remove the top of the engine cover and show you the next step after that. So I've just removed some of these vacuum lines from the top of the engine, just to give myself a little bit more space and a little bit more access to get down to where the plug is. A tool like this pick is super handy for picking the clip that goes onto the OEM plug on the block. And now we're going to install the T-harness down into the engine bay. So you can see I've just removed the plug, which is on the left hand side of the screen, circled now. So we can see on the end of my pick here, we've just removed the stock plug from the block where it locates down below. I'll just move the pick out of the way and then you can see that, which is below there. And then what we need to do is plug the T-harness into it. So I'm going to do that now. So that's the first part of the T-harness plugged in. And then this side of the plug needs to go down back into the engine bay, just down there. So with the wiring harness now attached into the factory loom using the OEM plugs, the valve controller can be tucked down in just inside here. The ground cable, the black cable, goes onto this 10mm bolt here, and then the fuse tap for the live. If we go down to the fuse box on the right hand side of the car, looking at it from the back, I'm just going to turn the light on. So there is a 15 amp fuse on the lower row, right at the right hand side at the end. If you remove this fuse, then plug that into the fuse tap, a spare terminal on the fuse tap, and then plug this back in. It's best if you orientate the cable upwards, and that now gives power to the valve controller. This power lead can be tucked under the carpet. So with the valve controller now powered up and grounded, you should be able to hear the box ticking when you press the buttons on the remote. And now we'll go round to the car and start it up. So now with everything fitted and connected, the bit we've been waiting for, the sound. So this car, it's got the valves open all the time. We're in the on position. And now closed. And open. Just a few revs. So the last thing to do here is just to tuck the valve controller down, reinstall the engine cover, reinstall all of the trim panels, and we're good to go. So a few tips for fitting the valve controller on a Spyder RS. We first remove these polythene parts from inside of the boot space here. Next, we then removed the side pods for the air intake, and also the latching system for the rear part of the roof. From there, we then moved on to removing the carpet here that surrounds the top of the engine bay, which then exposed to us all of the bolts for the airbox, which you can see over here. So all of the Torx bolts around, T30 bolts around the top, and then the T25 bolts that secure the lid for the air filter housing on. From there, we were then able to lift the airbox or lid engine compartment assembly out in its entirety, and the plug for the valve solenoid is situated just here.